This was a fascinating story in the Inquirer. A Montgomery County man accused of ripping off more than 100 investors out of $31 million.
Yeah, and then the SEC got involved. The Securities and Exchange Commission slapped Josh Verney of Huntington Valley with a complaint this week, and it was a front page story in the Inquirer. So Verney is accused of presenting himself as a successful businessman, getting some notable names, big-time famous names, to us here in Philadelphia to invest millions of dollars in his startup company. I'm talking about Sam Katz, Bart Blattstein, David Adelman, Michael Rubin. The online rent-to-own business called Ownable peddled laptops and cell phones to those who couldn't afford the upfront costs. I'm telling you everything my guest is about to tell you, but I guess we can just let him go because I'm telling the whole story.
We write about
Joseph. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Thanks for being here.
Distefano.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, we write about a lot of frauds at the Inquirer, a lot of financial companies. What made this story different was the people who were involved, the people who invested. A lot of times, people will invest hundreds of thousands of dollars. They'll see radio ads. People who basically, a lot of people are skeptical of authority. We're skeptical of the banks. We're skeptical of Wall Street. We're skeptical of what the government tells us. And it makes us very persuadable by these people who say they have a better way.
What was this Verney guy? What was he peddling again? What was the scheme?
He had set up, his family business had been renting furniture, had been producing, selling rentable furniture.
Okay.
And that kind of went under in 2011. Some of their creditors pushed them toward bankruptcy. And he came out of there starting a website and then another website, and eventually built this ownable website that was for rent to own, not furniture this time so much as cell phones and laptops, things that you don't usually see at Aaron Rents or Rent-A-Center.
Well, one thing I've never understood about the investors, these four guys that I just mentioned, they got a ton of money. Mm-hmm. They probably don't need any more money. So how's this guy, hey, you want to invest in this thing?
Yeah.
Well, they just want more money.
And that's what made the difference, because these are sophisticated people. These are
Yes.
smart people. These are people who built up Philadelphia and a lot of the businesses here.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew this guy way back. Their daughters went to school with his kids, and they found him persuasive. He would have Friday evening meetings, Jewish holiday, Eve of the Jewish Sabbath, and they would talk about religious things. They would present. In other community aspects, he would come across as a person who was kind of one of us.
Is he charming?
He is described to me, he won't talk to me, but he is described as energetic, eager, helpful, the kind of guy who volunteers, the kind of guy who takes the captain's hat on and helps.
So you might want to do something for him.
You might want to do something for him, with him.
Yeah, with him. Because didn't he basically say, I've started multiple multi-million-dollar companies. Like he made it seem as if, right, that he knew what he was doing and he's experienced?
Exactly. He had persuasive stories about the companies he'd started. Now, the SEC now says that he didn't actually collect the money he claimed to from the businesses he sold, that when he actually did sell one, he got a fraction of what he said, and he had to split that with others.
Where'd he end up? He's in Florida?
He's now in Florida. Yeah,
Not
he's
in jail.
divorced. He's running another business.
Another business.
He's out there trying to raise money for the next thing he's doing. And remember, the SEC is not a criminal enforcement agency. This is a civil case, but we do know from a number of the investors that the FBI has been sniffing around, was asking them questions, and very often when the FBI starts, sometimes a criminal inquiry will follow.
Here's what scares me, because they say, if you want to build wealth, investing is key, and, you got to spread out, your source of income. But if people like this, who are considered very successful businessmen, very successful people in society, if they can't figure out a scam, is there any hope for any of us?
No.
This is a rare case.
Okay, it's rare.
Usually these people, when it's a person within the group, whatever group it is, it's somebody they've known a long time. It's somebody whose family hangs out with theirs, is not going to necessarily put himself in this position where they will cause their friends losses and have reason to be hated by them.
Sam Katz ran for mayor of
Sam's a stand-up guy. Sam went on the record. A lot of these people would not go on the record.
He just said, oh my God, we were stupid.
Yeah. Well, they would talk about each other, but they didn't want to talk about themselves. Sam's a big boy. He's run for office. He's been out there. So I give Sam Katz a lot of credit. Bart Blatstein's also quoted very briefly in there, who's the developer. And quite a few other people talked to us, but on condition that we not name them. And so they gave us information and documents instead.
Yeah.
And so I know you said this is civil. Is there any way that though he could get charged criminally? Or?
So we have a case actually a few blocks from here, a much larger fraud alleged by the SEC against a company called Par Funding, $500 million over a period of 10 years that they raised from investors, also lending money to people with bad credit, in this case small businesses. You know, we have written quite a bit about this, and the feds, after 2.5 years, the SEC imposed settlements that have not yet been paid. Settlement is maybe the wrong word, but they said hundreds of millions of dollars. Then the FBI presented its information, a grand jury indicted these people, and a couple of them are now facing criminal
Well, maybe you
charges.
come back in and tell us about that one. You know, Alex is very charming.
I absolutely agree.
Very sweet.
You can probably get some money out of it.
Oh, no.
Let's give it a shot.
I'd like to think I'm a better human than that.
Well, I know you are. You should have your own TV show. Doesn't he look like a newspaper reporter?
Who's getting down to the facts, breaking stories that we need to know.
Yeah.
Should have more of them here.
Good to see you, man.
Good to
Thank
meet
you so much.
Go get them.
Amazing work you do.